Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Car era lore. Call me Levi playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the blockchain.
Now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I gotta shout out
Started
the
off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in shoes. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and C for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain. My name is Steve. I'm going to be joined by my co-host Von Frunten here. Joey Vowles, who I texted about a half hour ago, is getting ready to come on with me for just a little bit here. He has some big news to talk about as well at his employer. Thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate you out there. Give us a like, a retweet, a comment on the room, especially the X Space, which does us a solid and gets those people going out there. RDL, good morning. Good morning, Junko. Good seeing you out there as well. Good morning to all the people in the chat. Mel Dobbins, Odeka, I see you out there. Bordo Saka doing well in the chat. Opportunist, thanks for the retweet. Booching is out there. Thomas, Green Edge in the abstract chat. Thanks to all the people who are out there. We'll continue to hit the GMs throughout the morning as we get this thing going. But do us a favor, give us a little love in the room, like, retweet, comment, GM. Bookmarks actually help according to the latest algo update, and you don't check your bookmarks anyway, so go through your bookmarks. As a reminder, we're going to talk about all sorts of things on here. Crypto is risky. NFTs are risky. Meme coins are exceptionally risky. Nothing on here is financial advice. Do your own research. Everything can go zero at a moment's notice. We are not financial advisors. I'm not a financial advisor. Joey's not a financial advisor. Von Frunten's not a financial advisor. Do your own research and understand that this is probably the riskiest sector in the world. So you want to make sure you're doing your own things. People who are on the show may hold tokens they talk about at any given time. So you want to make sure that you are very confident in what you're doing. I'm making a few plays that are potentially high risk here, even with, especially with my OpenSea farming. So good morning to all out there. Got a few topics to talk about this morning. Grateful again. I'll bring him on here in just a second. He's actually going to just be on the space because I know he is a traveler at the moment. We'll hear a little bit about that, but I basically texted Joey Vowles about a half hour ago. It was like, oh man, Von Frunten, who is jumping on the show, probably can't make it until about 8:30. He's got family duties, so he's tuned in, but not on the show yet. but Mr. Joey Vowell said, I can step in and pinch hit. And speaking of pinch hitting, Joey, you are traveling for softball. GM, how are you doing this morning, sir?
For the week for our like World Series. It's been quite the adventure. I Monday got on my flight in the morning, went through TSA, easy flight, got in 30 minutes early, get to the rental car counter, and my driver's license is expired. And I could not rent my vehicle. And so I had to scramble and get an Uber, and then one of the guys I'm staying with then had to get the rental car. It just my license expired last month on my birthday. Had no idea that it was expired. So when I get home, I need to renew my driver's license. And then yesterday, our first game of round robin, we have 4 round robin games, two yesterday, 2 today. Last at bat in one of the last innings, I hit a double and pulled my hamstring, rounding first base. So I might be done for the whole week. So say some prayers for me, and maybe it's mild and I'll be able to come back once we hit tournament play. But it sucks. Not fun coming out here to play for a week and getting injured in the first game.
Sorry to hear that. That was not the direction I thought that was going when you said you hit the double. I thought that was going to be a heroic story. So sorry to hear that, my friend. Appreciate you very much, and hope that you get better soon, and hope that your team does well. But traveling for some softball tournaments. What is this, the softball where you catch the ball with your hands, or do you use gloves?
No, this is really competitive. There's 57 cities that are part of this larger league. And in the spring, every league has their spring season. And then depending on the size of your league, depends on how many teams then get to qualify for this World Series. So there's about 7 divisions. So there's A, B, C, D, E, Legends, which is the older guys, Legends C, Legends D. So we have, I think in total, there's over about 100 teams here from all over the country and Canada. Last year it was in Vegas. This year's in Houston. Next year's in Columbus, Ohio. And it travels all over the country every year. So it's a lot of fun. It's really cool, but it's legit. It's very competitive. Right now I've been relegated to being the head coach and third base coach until we figure out if my hamstring will hold up by Thursday or Friday.
Well, good luck with that. I will say, I think that there is competitive softball leagues where you catch the ball with your hands. I'm not super versed on softball, but I think there's the one, it depends on the size of the ball, where they have both that exist. But this sounds very legit, and hope you heal up soon and you're able to get back there. I'm sure your team needs you, and you made the whole trip. Are you at least, before we get into it, and we'll talk a little Beezie news and everything like that, are you at least doing, is the family with you? Are you going to do some touristy stuff while you're traveling? Or is it just like this was a pure business trip for is ball's life?
Yeah, no, I did 2 games Tuesday, 2 games Wednesday. Thursday, you could play anywhere from, 1 to 5 games. Friday, you play anywhere from 2 to 6 games. So it would have been too much to have the family with me. So not only am I now unable to play being injured, I'm extra homesick because I'm not going to be focused on playing. So I'm FaceTiming the kids as much as I can. So it's me and a bunch of guys on the team in a house. We have a nice house. It's we got a pool and a jacuzzi, and so it's a nice little mini vacation. It's just not what I was hoping it was going to be since I got injured, but it's okay. I'm going to help the team any way I can. And hopefully the team can, pick up the slack, and we bring home some hardware.
Yeah, for sure. Well, good luck to the team. GM out there, by the way, Brick It All, Beanie, Bordeaux, Saka, Opportunist. I know we hit Booching out there in the chat. Thomas, always lively and active. Mesh hitting that chat. Mr. Aspiring Nobody. Oh, appreciate the love. Got a little bit of a shot this morning from NFT NYC. He posted, appreciate you, good sir. The folks out there in the chat, but Joey, we got a few topics we're going to cover on today. Obviously, Von Front is going to be joining us, and you're welcome to stay all morning for sure. Should you so decide, especially now that it seems that you don't have quite as much going on. You just got a rehab on the hamstring you pulled. Sorry to hear about that. I know as we get older, that gets a little bit worse. I know I'm feeling it. I ran 8 miles on Sunday, and then or maybe on Monday, and then yesterday. Yeah, because then yesterday I just lifted shoulders with my son and walked the dogs a couple times. I don't want to risk popping anything, especially because I'm not doing anything competitive. It makes sense you would do it while getting competitive and doing some sprints. But actually got my son we talked about it. We got him a 5-pound barbell so he could start doing some barbell lifts. He's been using the dumbbells in the basement. So did some shoulders to overhead stuff, some shrugs, and used some kettlebells for some upright rows yesterday, working on some shoulder stuff with him as he's getting going. He's 11, so right now it's just, and you'll probably appreciate this as a CrossFit Kids guy, I'm sure. It's a matter of like getting him comfortable with the barbell, getting him comfortable with some dumbbells, understanding what the names of the lifts are and how to do them properly with the proper form. He's not going to get strong until he hits a growth spurt. And frankly, like he's taller, but he hasn't hit like the growth spurt, like his voice isn't dropping, things like that. My daughter was relatively early. He hasn't been. So, he's 11. I basically have tried to explain to him at some point in the next 2 years, your body is basically going to be naturally on steroids and you're going to be happy you got a head start and you've been doing this and waking your muscles up. He's already seen some nice little results, but like the idea that he could potentially get really strong really quickly if he just eats like a maniac. His kids can eat whatever they want, even though we do have meat healthy. Thankfully, he likes chicken, he likes steak, he likes beef, he likes burgers, things like that. He also likes a lot of junk food. Our whole house likes tortilla chips, but we got him the barbell. He seemed to like it. It's something new for him to play with, new toy. And so basically told him, look, it may seem like a while because 2 years is like, 17% of your entire life right now. But if you just wait in the next couple of years, at some point, maybe in a month, maybe in 6 months, maybe in 12 months, maybe in 18 months, you're going to be really glad you're lifting right now. So I've been trying to get him on that and get him going because all the stuff about stunting your growth is a false science. So
bullshit.
Yeah, that was what I heard growing up. And it was like, don't lift weights. It's going to stunt your growth, which jokes on them. I'm shrinking as I get older and I was never taller than 5'10" anyway. So it didn't matter. But wish I had just started lifting. But yeah, getting him going on that. It's fun to watch a 11-year-old barbell and learning how to do some of that stuff. And, initially he just did the barbell. He's like, that's too light. Then we added 2.5s. He's like, that's too light. Then we added 5s. He's like, all right, this is kind of perfect. And so not trying to overdo it day one. And then I put, I think 15-pound bumper plates on for him to just play around with some shrugs because, not a huge muscle on 11-year-old. So thought you'd appreciate that, getting him started early and getting him going. So, working on that, and we'll get him back on the treadmill today. We've been working on lifting. We've been working on running. It's just getting him to athletic. The other thing is like, and Joey, I'm sure you're the same way, so we can hit this before we get out of cold open. My kids, neither of my kids are like, for whatever reason, they're not particularly athletic. Like I played all the sports growing up, and it's not a knock in the sense of like I'm hitting on them for it or anything like that. It's just they don't have interest because they have so many other things they could do. So my son has no interest in watching football. My daughter likes watching football. She can throw a damn good spiral, but she's not much of a runner. She doesn't like to run. She doesn't really like to lift. She has lifted with me before, so she understands what it is. And I think she did it because it was a thing to do with me at one point. But like my thing is, I just want them to be active. Like my daughter does, she's taking a break right now, but she's done some gymnastics. My son plays soccer, but like, I just want them to be active and be around us in the gym and be around the gym because I just think there is a higher probability that they're going to be healthier in the long run if I have them. I do want to get my son and my daughter both potentially into some sort of combat sport. I know that's something that you have your kids doing. That's something that I've been thinking about a lot. We just got to find the time to do it. But yeah, man, I think maybe I'm wrong, but I never got any instruction on lifting or exercising or anything. I always did it naturally. I played a lot of sports naturally, but I wish I'd gotten into lifting and stuff earlier. I didn't really even start lifting in force until maybe even college. So I think you're probably of the same alignment. It's like, get them in early, have them this be a natural thing that you just do, explain to them why they should be doing it. And then I think when you're a kid, you probably have a better chance to see results too. And I also think it teaches a lot of life lessons playing sports and lifting. So thoughts on that? Because I think you're taking a similar path with your kids.
An obesity epidemic in our country, and it's really important that you teach your children at a young age to be active. Like and being active doesn't necessarily mean they have to be like the best soccer player or the best basketball player or anything like that, right? They just need to be doing stuff instead of just sitting around and eating. My daughter does jujitsu. I highly recommend anybody with a daughter that you put your daughter into some type of combat sport. I will always say jujitsu because if you know how to choke somebody, their size is irrelevant. There are a lot of studies that show jujitsu is a huge confidence builder for young girls, and it's great for socializing because they're in a large group setting. And obviously, as a female, being able to protect yourself is not a bad thing. So I highly recommend jujitsu for anybody that has a daughter and even a son. Like, there's a lot of the jujitsu class that my daughter goes to, there's only 4 girls. The other 10 to 15 are boys. So it's great for boys too. I think any martial art in general, when they're young, is great because the biggest aspect of martial arts is discipline and respect. And sometimes, right, like having another like adult figure pounding that into your children's mind works. Not all kids want to listen to what their parents have to say. But yeah, my daughter's been coming to the gym since all my kids have been coming to the gym since they were basically a month old. So they don't know anything else. Like, my daughter loves going to the gym, loves doing CrossFit, like tells people how much she does CrossFit. My son's only 2.5, so obviously he can't start anything yet. But as soon as he turns 4, he'll be in jujitsu, he'll be in CrossFit. And at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is make sure like they have fun. If they have fun, then to them it's not really working out. And that's what I think matters, whether it's gymnastics, whatever. But yeah, get them moving, get them doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, being active is so important in my mind. And it's just something that I want my kids to be. I like being active, and they play outside and stuff, but I just want them to have good disciplines and build good habits, because when I think about my kids, I'm thinking about not just them when my kids are middle schoolers, 11 and 13, but when my kids are 30, 40, 20, 50, like, I want them to be, have these inherent habits and qualities built in for them to also teach their kids and for them to learn from, because it is such an important thing, I think, for lifelong fitness and learning and to understand it. And, I'm in a very good position where, having learned it, it's like, look, right now I am in not the best shape, and I'm dieting, I'm exercising, I'm working on getting myself back down to something respectable. But the truth of the matter is, like, I have the tools in the toolbox to get in shape if I need to. I know what eating healthy is. I know what, running and lifting is. I know what playing sports is. I know, generally speaking, how to work, to stretch properly and do all those things. I just want my kids to have those tools in their toolbox so they can make those decisions when the time comes and teach it to their kids and my grandkids ultimately, and make it happen. But health is wealth is obviously a platitude a lot of people say, but I think it's really important. So been getting that going, but it was cool. I got some good pictures of the boy using his barbell for the first time yesterday and kind of lifting and doing some shoulders to overhead and things. So fun stuff. And actually, it was texted my friend who's a CrossFit trainer to show him as well. So good stuff. But Joey Vowles, while I got you here, big news yesterday. I will share the OpenSea announcement that we got yesterday on the space here in a second, and I'll pin it to the top because or you've got it. Yes, sir. Good job. Joey's already in front of it. Joey, this is ever the consummate professional. Joey has got it done. He knows what he's doing here. But we'll share the screen. OpenSea here. OpenSea I'm seeing if I got a Chrome update. It's not letting me share my screen. Yeah, I know Google's accessing my screen. MacBook. An OpenSea claw machine from Beezie appears. 100. By the way, thank you for the tip, Dwayne. Appreciate that so much this morning. GM Pinstripe Gator. We'll have Von Frunton here in a second as we get this thing going. But an OpenSea claw machine from Beezie appears. $100,000 of Pokemon slabs, Labubus, sealed products, vintage collectible grails, and more await. 2,000 burnable NFT vouchers are being added to our rewards pool. Each one equals a single claw pull. What will your treasure chest reveal one? One thing I'm pretty sure about here on OpenSea before we get into it is that it sounds like treasure chests are going to potentially reveal a multitude of items. So like, it's not necessarily just I open my treasure chest and there's going to be one Pudgy Penguin or one World of Women in there, but there's going to be potentially multiple hits. I don't know that for sure, but it looks like that might be the case based on the way that they've talked about the reward system. I actually had a tweet this morning I pinned to the top about my leveling up of my chest and some things I'm doing, but let's get to Beezie. This is a big announcement. OpenSea obviously is one of the biggest players in the game. I have been adamant that, well, a lot of people are fudding OpenSea, and a lot of people aren't fans of OpenSea at times, and they have, you know, issues with how they do certain things. And again, I think that there can be sometimes a double standard, sometimes a little bit of hypocrisy with how people talk about OpenSea. It's a whole other discussion altogether. But with that, I do find it interesting that OpenSea has really been out here talking to real builders in the space. And so talk a little bit about what this is and your thoughts on talk about your thoughts on this partnership, because it seems like a pretty awesome deal for you all. I was pumped because big fans of you, Andrea, Doxin Wizard, the whole team there. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, this is Andrea is an absolute networking and she just doesn't stop. And she, there was a conversation she had, and with I think it was I'm trying to think of who it was with now, and I don't want to misspeak, but she had a conversation with someone at OpenSea, and this idea came up of them like, hey, what if OpenSea was like, hey, what if we gave away, vouchers to your claw machine? And she was like, no, how about we build you an OpenSea claw machine? And they were like, wait, what? And they were like, yeah, we did this with Tag, and it just kind of went from there. And this is something that we've been talking about from day one. When we built this platform, we've always said this, we're not building this platform for us. We're building this platform for other people. We want to collaborate, right? Like, we want to bring in collectible businesses who want to use the platform to grow their business. The idea of the claw machine was, yes, we're going to proof of concept because it's going to be for us. But, if there's for example, Gary, if you're out there, if you want a VFriends claw machine, we'll build you a VFriends claw machine, right? Like, that was the idea, is that you could come to us with if you had a big following, whether it was on Web 2 or Web 3, and you could say, hey, listen, I want to build this machine for my consumers, my customers, my clients, my fans. We could do it. And that's what happened. We worked with OpenSea on the design and the, what was going to be in it. And now they have their own. We'll only be able to use it with the vouchers. So you won't be able to participate in the OpenSea claw machine with crypto or credit card or anything like that, like our other machines. So it's only through opening up your treasure chests and seeing essentially a claw machine voucher, and then you would go burn that voucher. When you go play the machine, burns the voucher, and then whatever gets pulled out of the machine is yours to either keep, digitally, right? Like, keep it in our vault, keep the physical in the vault, and then you hold on to the NFT version, or redeem it physically. And as people know, you can redeem it anytime, anywhere in the world. And it's shipped right to your house.
So effectively, it's a white labeled product. It's Beezie products inside. They get the vouchers, they build the claw machine on OpenSea. And so it's going to be on the OpenSea platform, sort of white labeled on there. It's going to be a voucher only thing, which can obviously be bought, sold, and traded on the OpenSea platform. But so is this a limited thing? Basically, there's a run on it. Is it something they're going to keep in perpetuity potentially to use? And out of curiosity, so like those two questions, and then I'll get to the VFriends one was really interesting when you mentioned it. But is it something that'll be? Am I understanding this correctly? White labeled OpenSea platform, Beezie collectibles will use on the OpenSea platform with these vouchers. And again, is it limited time or is it something they're going to keep open?
Yeah. So to the vouchers, right? So when you open up your treasure chest, you're going to get a voucher. So that voucher technically can be sold because it's an NFT. So if, let's say, like we looked at like the multi-ball thing that was on Ape right? Like the people were selling, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank now. Bought that gold ball for $500.
Yeah, Drew Seguri. Drew, yeah.
Drew bought that gold ball for $500 because it gave him a better chance at whatever. So when the machine first launches, right, it's going to have $100,000 worth of product in it. And some of those items are going to be worth a lot of money, right? 4 figures and up. So there's an opportunity that, somebody who is a fan of Pokemon and all these other things might want to just go buy essentially your voucher, and you might be able to make money on your voucher versus actually using the voucher. So that's something that's really cool, which is obviously, blockchain technology at its best. For now, it's because OpenSea hasn't really announced like the long-term plan yet, right? Like they're still building out like what's going to be in these treasure chests and how long they're going to run and all that stuff. For now, this is all we have. It's $100,000 worth of product in the OpenSea claw machine. I would hope that people love it and have fun with it. I believe they will, because the claw machine is a ton of fun and it's exciting. And if everything goes really well, I would believe they'll re-up with us. But this is what it is now. Like we don't have anything beyond that. But yeah, I mean, this is what we're doing. We're trying to build a platform that is available to multiple people. We've said from the beginning, collaboration over competition. And like, it's funny. And like all this stuff about like their rewards. And I've been like chomping at the bit to like, so OpenSea's doing some really cool stuff, but obviously I couldn't say anything. So I'm so excited. Andrea is just an absolute beast. And the way she was able to get this done is just amazing. And there's no other founder that I would rather work with and be on this journey with than her. And Pratik is, man, that guy, I don't know when he sleeps or how long he sleeps, because we are constantly building, like whether it's, better UI, faster transaction processing. From what I know, we are the only current platform that accepts credit cards, debit cards, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and cross-chain payments without having to bridge manually to be able to play our claw machine as well as shop in the marketplace. And he just never stops. It's incredible what Pratik and his development team have done since we launched. It seems like we get an update or an improvement every single week.
Love that. Love to hear it. And look, I mean, love what Beezie's doing. Love what you're building. And one of the things you mentioned there is OpenSea chests. And it's become a hot topic on our show, on other shows. People are on, I feel like, polar opposite sides of the spectrum on this OpenSea thing. So for people who don't know or haven't been paying attention or haven't been doing it, these treasure chests on OpenSea are eventually going to reveal treasures. Now, we don't know exactly what those final treasures look like, but the idea is the higher the treasure chest the better the treasure you get at the end of 30 days. They're going to have at least a couple of runs at this reward program. Adam Hollander confirmed in a Discord AMA, but basically it's their rewards program for using their platform. So if you do token swaps, if you buy and sell NFTs, you get new chests. Those chests will eventually reveal things. I decided I got a tier 12 beacon that is already one of my treasures in my treasure chest. So Cap noted it is a little bit confusing, which I get. I think my tier 12 beacon is going to go towards my TGE, and I don't know if it affects my chest and how I draw on this. I'm not sure exactly if that is, or if everyone's on the same level playing field, leveling up those chests. I think that might be the case. So theoretically, if you get to another tier 12, you would probably get another tier 12 treasure, which would also play in towards your TGE, if I'm understanding this correctly. They mentioned in the article that treasures will play a role ultimately in TGE. So I'll kind of share my screen on this just to show a couple things on my OpenSea rewards. You can see if you're looking at the screen right now, I've got this Explorer's Gala tier 2, a Flame of Experience tier 3, a Rally tier 1, and a Voyager's Beacon tier 12. These are various things that I've gotten for, doing things in the ecosystem that gave you these treasures, which eventually will help lead towards certain things in TGEs. I do think I actually am bummed. I think I missed one treasure that was in my wallet where you got one just for holding an ape or something, and I didn't open it. I don't remember, but there was something. Now all the wallets are connected, but I don't think I ever got that treasure back. So, it's okay. I can live with that. But I'm leveling up and I'm on this amethyst chest. Well, each time it looks like the XP doubles. Actually, I got a really good reply this morning on my GM post, which I'll have to go find from Chimperton, who replied and basically showed that it is, there's a Dune Analytics dashboard I'll share here in a second, and I'm going to zoom in so people can see it. But basically, they showed the XP required, as well as sort of like the fees and the structures that it's going to take. So swap fees, percentage-wise, NFT fee at 1, and what the XP required is. And basically what you'll see is the XP is doubling up at each chest. So I feel like I'm moving really slow at Amethyst right now. But if I think I'm slow at Amethyst, getting to Topaz, I can't imagine what Topaz to Sapphire, Sapphire to Ruby, Ruby to Ember, Ember to Solar is going to be. They have the theoretical NFT fees that you're going to be spending. So it looks like they're guessing about $11,000 in fees at 1% there, or about $9,000 in swap fees in order to get to that highest chest. Now, that said, I don't know if it's a plus EV farm, and I'm not telling anybody to do this. And look, I'm not somebody who can just burn a hole in $9,000, so the chances of me getting there are very, very low. But when I look at that, one, there's a couple of hacks people are using. One, they're doing a lot of NFT volume and effectively blur farming. They're going to something like a low-cost thing, buying 50 of them, listing 50 of them, losing 0.01 or something on the 0.03. Maybe the floor price goes up. But so there's some people who are playing that game right now, and I see that game. There are people who are doing things like on higher NFT volume. So I saw some people who are buying mutants and pudgies and apes and mythics, and then reselling them at a gain in order to offset some of the other losses they're seeing there. So I'm seeing some of that action happen as well. But it is quite the farm as far as the numbers go based on those numbers people are doing. You do see the exact targets on it. And I think people are banking, even those who are doing the swaps, because I was talking to someone yesterday who said that, basically, their folks are going in, doing, swapping out $100,000 and worth of stuff, and then they're just done with it. They know that they're ready to level up. They don't have to think about it. It's sort of like that farm's done, on to the next. I do think, and this is my thesis on it, which again, we always say not financial advice. We don't know what's going on here because this is a total gamble. Part of it, to me, is this is the first season of this. There is a ton of volume because it is the first season of this. They juiced the rewards pool with over $1 million in tokens to start and have done more since. If you look at their overall rewards pool, I'll see if I can pull it up here because I know it's on the I should actually do the math on this at some point. But I know that the rewards pool is relatively large. So you look at this rewards pool, I'm sharing it on the screen right now. $750,000 in Optimism token, $250,000 in ARB, Pudgy Penguin NFTs. They have one. They have a Bored Ape. They have 10 doodles. $27,000 worth of Dude. $25,000 worth of Ape token. $21,000 of Pengu. They've got, I know they had a bunch of mutant apes at one point I had to see, so I'm probably missing those. Yeah, like, so only says one mutant ape. I thought they swept more. I know they swept a bunch of little pudgies, so.
Bought one mutant initially, and then I think there was another buy where they bought a few more. If I remember correct.
I feel like this is not updated because, yeah, I feel like yesterday it had more mutants when I looked, so something must be off on there. But yeah, because I mean, 2 days ago you can see they had the thing where they bought like a bunch of little pudgies 2 days ago, so something is off on the rewards pool number. It has to be updated. It was last updated a couple days ago, so it wasn't put in there. Point is, because they bought like 10 little pudgies, 10 mutants, something like that, ton of value of those. So there's a lot of stuff. So Joey, my thesis here is that they've got a lot of rewards. They're probably going to run a reward their highest users, like any platform will. You want to reward your whales. That's a sort of a adage in crypto. So I'm taking my shot at this, and I may come up woefully short and not get bang for my buck, and it'll be majorly negative EV. But my thought process is as follows, and I'll throw it to you. Again, first season, probably doing it as big as possible. Highest volume because they have half of their fee structure going towards buying these NFTs and tokens and whatnot. So that's going to be the highest rewards pool with this many people sort of farming it or doing it. And no matter what I do here, this activity goes towards an ultimate OpenSea airdrop anyway. So it means that I'm actually making moves towards that airdrop down the line. And if it gets me another treasure, even another tier 12 treasure, that goes towards my airdrop. So it feels like there's this like stackability that's going on here. I could be wrong. Thank you, Green Edge, for the Pengu tip. Appreciate that this morning. Thoughts, Joey, on that?
Do we know? See, I'm under the impression that these chests are separate from what we completed already. So do we know for sure that whatever we're doing right now is contributing towards the TGE? Because like, I feel like these chests are the new reward program post TGE. And then the XP we earned previously and historical trading and blah, blah, blah is TGE stuff.
I would be shocked if what we're doing right now doesn't contribute to TGE. I don't think TGE has a historical volume pool, from what we have been told, a current volume pool, and a rewards program pool. We know that these treasures are going to play a significant role. These things that you have, let's say treasures, your tier 12, tier 5, whatever you have, your rally tier 1 from holding a rally NFT, those are going to contribute towards tokens you get at TGE. They have said that those treasures matter. I would be shocked if the volume right now doesn't contribute towards TGE. So my feeling is that this is all going towards TGE ultimately. And that's why I'm working on earning towards it.
So it's a double. So right now, you in your opinion, you think that the XP and the volume we're doing right now not only ranks up our boxes, which are where all these things they've done are going to reveal, right? Like the vouchers for the claw, the ARB, the NFTs. So you think the XP we're earning and the volume we're doing right now not only allows us to rank up our boxes, but is also going to contribute to TGE. So it's a double.
That's my guess. That's my feeling, is that it's not just a double. I would say it's arguably a triple. And here's why. You are farming towards TGE, which gets you that. You are working towards your chest, which gets you that. And I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of this 30 days, when they start the new one, you get another treasure, which are those things on the right side, which automatically is locked in your account, which also goes towards TGE. So it could be a triple farm towards their airdrop in some way, shape, or form. Now, how meaningful is it? I assume they're going to reward historical volume very handsomely. But, I've seen people complain like, oh, this is nerfing my airdrop or this is diluting my airdrop. I don't think it is number one. Like, I think they're probably going to do a good job with this no matter what on historical volume. But number two, the game is the game. They're building a platform and a product for people to use ultimately, not just now, but in the future. They are, they've built in, I would be almost surprised if they didn't build in liquidity pools at some point. They built in token trading. They've built in a user-friendly platform. They built in a great landing page. They do things on people in the business. They work with companies like Beezie. They throw out, blogs that are about the industry. Their token pages, I think, are an underrated thing, where if you go to their token pages, their NFT pages, they've spent a tremendous amount of time and effort building those out with various teams to show. And so if you bring a friend in and they're learning the industry, as while it's become easier to use and everything else, they go to a page like, oh, this is what Bored Ape Yacht Club's history is. Oh, this is what Pudgy Penguin's history is. Oh, this is the history of the Rekt token and Rekt guy. Like, and so I think that they're building this long-term platform. They want people to use this long-term platform. They want people to use their, ultimately use their rewards platform. So it's like, of course you're going to build a rewards platform and try to reward people for using it. But Joey, Von Frunton's going to come in here in a second, but stick around. But want to get your take on it because I know you are doing some farming as well. How are you going about it?
Yeah, so I real quick, one of the things that we don't know yet is, will every chest have something, right? So in the past, whenever you have these like these blind box chests, sometimes you reveal a chest and it's like, hey, thanks for playing, right? I have a feeling that these chests are all going to have something in them. I don't get the vibe that, because like the amount of money that they're putting into this, I don't get the feeling that even if you have, like, I'm only at maybe it's a cobalt or an amethyst. I'm at like a couple chests below you, I think. So what I've been doing is I have my liquidity pool on Project X, and anytime I need to rebalance my liquidity pool on Project X, I collect my yield, which is anywhere from $60 to $100. And then I go on OpenSea and I swap on OpenSea to get my tokens back to where they need to be to then go reopen my liquidity pool. And sometimes I'm, based on what my yield is, I still come out ahead. Sometimes it's, the yield is basically covering the fee to OpenSea. So I'm getting points on Project X for having a liquidity pool open. And then I'm earning XP to rank up my chest on OpenSea because I don't have the type of liquidity to, like, I have to kind of pick and choose, right? Like all the liquidity I have really is on the liquidity pool that I'm doing on Project X. So I'm kind of getting to double farm in that manner, right? I'm earning points on Project X towards their TGE, and then I'm using the yield to allow me to earn XP on OpenSea. Now, if I took all that money off Project X and just went to OpenSea, I could probably do some more farming. But I don't really want to get into the whole like buying as many $20 NFTs as I can, relisting them, and like that's not my thing. So I'm going to keep doing it the way I'm doing it. But I get the vibe that all of these boxes are going to have something. Like you might open a box and it's $20 an ARB, or it's $10 an ARB, or right. So I think we're all going to get something. Some of it's going to be less, some of it's going to be more. I'm still would love to know, like, do the bigger boxes give you more rewards? So like if you open up the biggest box, instead of getting one reward, you get like 3 or 4. Like you could get a claw machine voucher, some ARB, and an NFT in a bigger box. Or do the bigger boxes just mean higher probability of getting better things? So like there's still a lot of unknown here. And people are very critical because they're like, oh, from my experience, blind boxes are not positive EV. Well, you know what? This is the first time they're doing it. This is probably the best chance you have at them being positive EV, because I would imagine, like any business, they want to impress their consumers with their first program. So I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to do the best I can to get as many boxes, get my box up as much as I can. I'm not getting overly excited about it, so that way I have a huge letdown if it's not. I'm just taking it as what it is and saying, hey, I'm going to have some fun and do this. If I get a reward, great. If I'm not positive EV, it's okay. I got to go through the experience, and then I could accurately give my assessment because I actually did it, versus people that are just sidelining themselves and complaining. So I'm not sure I'm with you on the whole, this is a double or triple farm right now. I have a feeling this is a little separate. I don't think we're deluding people, because I think when you look at tokenomics, I would wager there's a percentage of the tokenomics that's already been, let's say if there's 1 billion tokens of C, they've probably already said 10% is going to historical. So you're not getting diluted, right? They've definitely probably allocated a percentage to historical trading volume. So this is not diluting you. I doubt they're going to say, oh, 20% goes to all trading volume, including historical. Like that would make no sense. So the whole dilution thing, people need to just stop.
Yeah,
like that would be good of them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I'm going to bring on Von Frunten here because I think he has a different take on all of this. Cap, thankfully not listening this morning because he'd be blowing a gasket with all the OpenSea love that we're having right now. But Von Frunten, first of all, GM, how are you doing this morning, sir? Appreciate you joining me. I know you're joining me as well. Joey Val, always feel free to jump in as needed, although might be easy to throw the hand up just to make sure because I know the spaces, sometimes the talk track doesn't work, but you're welcome to stay obviously all morning in the co-host position as well. Von Frunten, GM, how are you doing this morning, sir?
GM, audio good on my side here? Everyone hear me?
Audio sounds great.
Awesome. No, doing good. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Thanks for accommodating my daily morning routine. We got to get 3 kids on 3 separate buses between 7 a.m. and 8:30 here in the Frunten household. So it's weekdays are a little crazy, but no, happy to be here, man.
Yeah, you are actually accommodating my daily routine of doing a morning show and not having to do it alone. So I appreciate you giving me that love this morning. Curious, and we hit a little OpenSea stuff just because it was on my top of mind this morning. I hit the Amethyst box. I mean, feel free to give any sort of like level of take on this thing, one way or the other. I think you are playing it, if I recall correctly, just you're going to get what you're going to get and you won't throw a fit type thing. You're not going to go out of your way to use it. You're not just going to spill more money into them. Curious how you are playing this thing.
Yeah, I think I'm on old wooden box is my current level, and I'm not going to be getting higher than that unless there are like just organic trading that I do.
San Diego, an old wooden box. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm glad you got the reference there. So the I don't know. I'm not going to fault anybody for playing the game how you want to play the game, right? I think one of the great things that I love about Web3 and crypto is freedom to transact. There are a lot of different places that we can transact. There are a lot of different ways that we can all participate and try to make money. So, like, do you? I go back to, I think you've made this joke many times, and I am like 110% a believer of it. But, you know, a boat's a boat, but a box could be anything. It could even be a boat. And so, you know, if the whole point for me, my goal, if I were to farm OpenSea, would be to get some sort of financial return, right? Something that I can it's directly like a token or an NFT that I can then sell and get money off it. If the price for that are these much higher fees and swaps and other things that I have to do to earn that, I'd rather just keep the money, right? Like, I'm just going to take the boat on this one, and I'll keep my money and I'll keep it over in DeFi and other areas. And I will, and if I happen to get $20 of ARB because of my old wooden ship, cool. I'm I think I do agree. I agree with no alpha whatsoever. So maybe I'm hoping that Joey's take on the C allocation is correct, and that all of my historical trading is protected and in a vault somewhere and will not be diluted by the fact that I'm not participating in these quests. But yeah, I think I'm not a big, I guess I'm a selective farmer when it comes to these types of things. I don't know enough about it. I've been burnt in the past where you think, hey, we're going to hold on to an asset. We're going to spend a lot of time. We're going to spend a lot of money. And it didn't end up being EV positive. And so, you know, I'm taking my lessons. I've been burnt. This is how I'm going to play it. I think for the people who, like you, Steve, who have like worked your way up damn near to the top of the list, I got to expect this is going to be an EV positive play for you, right? I think the amount of time and the effort and the points that you've accumulated over the time, I got to believe it's going to be a good move for you. I'm not at that level. I'd have to spend a lot to maybe get there. And as I kind of look at the, you know, risk reward, I'm going to put my money elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. And Joy, see your hand. I'll get you back in a second. It's like, I think it's a good way of putting it where it's like, it's almost like any other farm. Like, I went hard at Project X after, I wish someone in the war had mentioned it to me before I got into it. It's actually, for people who don't know, basically Phonics and Mayhem tried to get me into Project X probably for about a month before I actually stopped whining and did it. But like Project X,
Phonics and Mayhem tried to get us into DeFi since like 2023. Let's be honest. Like, give credit where credit's due. We are laggards, according to them in the war room.
Yeah, it's funny also because like I feel like I feel like, you know, I did that to you after, where I just I badgered you to get you off Meteor into Project X because the fees were so good. So like I got to feel what it was like to be like it's like I've been trying to tell people that. And my next thing that I've been doing, although their leaderboard site's been down, so I haven't been recommending people go there because I think it's going up today or tomorrow, is I've been telling people turtle into Katana. And I feel like I'm crazy again because I'm like, people are like, I don't want to watch a politically pool or do anything. I'm like, you put money in through turtle, put money into Katana, and you just earn yield and don't do anything with it. If you're holding ETH spot that you're not going to use, seems like a fair enough place to hold it. But obviously, beside the point here, more point being that, yeah, man, I find myself with some of my liquidity looking at it and saying, when you farm, if you go hard at an individual platform, you tend to be rewarded well. Now, that's not always the case. Like Blast farmers got hurt doing certain things and Blur farmers got hurt doing certain things is not always the case. However, I have found that, generally speaking, the best EV positives come from people who are deep in the ecosystem. I mean, it's the same with tokens, same with anything else. I mean, K-Money got rich off Mog because he held and he held and he bought and he bought. And so I think kind of your point on there, it's like, look, you can only go hard at so many things. It's one of the reasons why when I first did DeFi, I had like 15 things I was doing and it's pared down to like 4 to 6 because moving that liquidity around and using it accordingly. Well, I mean, it's only going to, like, I have to have a reason for everything. It's like, if I wanted to go hard at Kinetic, I would put all my money in Kinetic. I have some money in there because I want to earn staking and I want to lock up hype to stop myself from spending it and just be smart about it. But like, I know I'm not going to get a big airdrop from that. Like, I know I'm not going to get big airdrops from certain things. You know, the people who are going really hard at Abstract or are getting 300,000 XP a week, they're probably going to eat at Abstract TGE. I might do okay, but I'm not going to. So I think your point about like OpenSea, it's like one of the reasons I'll probably do well at OpenSea TGE is I have done the voyages. I got the highest level treasure tier. I'm going for the higher boxes. So if I do well and people are like, oh, I shouldn't have faded, it's like, well, maybe, but if you were going to go and get 2 boxes up and spend your time and money, that might have been spent better LPing or doing something else.
Yeah. So first, Steve, I have to challenge your self-abstract FUD. I believe at one point in time you were in the top 0.5% of abstract earners. I got to believe you're still pretty high up there. So woe is you for maybe only being in the 98th percentile instead of the 99th percentile, sir. But yeah, I mean, I think it's to your point. It's like anything in life. I think you spread yourself too thin, you'll do, you know, you'll be an inch deep and a mile wide, and you'll have a little bit of everything, right? And maybe that stacks up, right? Maybe there are enough $100 here, $50 there, $200 here, and it starts to stack up, and you start to see something that is, you know, the same as if you just had gone hard at 1 or 2 things, right? For me, it's also a time investment. Like there's the financial aspect of it, obviously. There's also the time investment and how much I can only be in so many places at the same time. I can only keep so many tabs open on my browser and babysit these things or keep track and make sure that I'm optimizing what I'm doing. And so that's where it was like, same to you. I didn't start off with this wide. I didn't cast as wide of a net as you did early on, but I cast a little bit of a wide net, and I was in Meteora and I was in Orca and I was playing around on some, with Abstract. I was doing perps on New Trade over there, which I think at some point in time, I may still be the highest trader on that platform over, I think, whatever time period, which is, I don't have the gains to show for it. But hope, if they ever drop a token, hopefully I did something there by giving them all of my liquidity. And now I'm really just like, I'm kind of down into, I'm in Project X, thanks to you. I have a small bag that I have in Hyperliquid for perps. I've got a small bag over in Jupiter for perps on Solana. And really, that's kind of where I'm playing right now, right? I don't have to do a ton. It stays in basically one of 3 wallets for me. And it allows me to kind of benefit from DeFi, benefit from these places that may or may not have benefits, while freeing up time to do all the other stuff I have going on in my life.
Yeah, I like that thought process. Joey Valls, go ahead and get in here.
I think the biggest thing with all of this, and what I'm hearing from like Von Frunten, is tempered expectations. I think so many of us have been here for so long where we have this warped perception of like what a reward should be. Like I should be making $10,000 or $100,000 because of what we've seen in the past, and I just don't think that that's realistic. If you go into any of these, like Project X, like I've been doing pretty good racking up points. Like it's jumping up every single day because I've got a decent size LP. I'm probably not going to get into the top 1,000, and so like my expectations are pretty minimal, right? If I can get a couple $100, maybe $1,000, I'm happy, right? It's also the same with OpenSea. Like my expectations are very tempered. Like I don't expect that. Number one, I'm going to get up to a really high chest because I don't have the ability to. But even if I did, my expectations are that I'm just going to, I might reveal a token. Maybe it's a low cost NFT. Maybe it's even just a claw pull, whatever. But I'm doing it because I don't want to be sidelined. And I think if you have tempered expectations going into any of this, then whatever you get, you will be grateful for. Now, if you're somebody who's spending, 6 figures because you're really trying to farm, because you think that, like what happened with the first season of Blur is going to happen again. I'm not saying it won't, but I mean, I just don't see another season 1 of Blur happening again where, people made 7 figures. I could be wrong, but I just don't see, I don't think we're in that type of reward world, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, the other thing, speaking of which, while we're on Project X, Von Frunten, piece of news to hit on before we get into a couple other topics of the day, daily market update, more, all that good stuff. Project X announced yesterday, for people who missed it, ApeCoin on Project X. So they've talked about the hyper financialization of ApeCoin, obviously one of our sponsors here on the show. Currently printing, I think the best APR on Project X, maybe not, but it's pretty close there. So something I'm definitely going to be getting into for sure. But for those people who missed it, like ApeCoin now on Project X, again, I think I saw 200% APY, which is, by the way, like, it's funny, like it feels like a really good spot for it. I kind of shared my thoughts on yesterday, just excited because I've been obviously in this world, sort of my two worlds colliding. I love to see it. I was talking to Simple Farmer about sort of what that looked like and how, that's a big deal for them to be on Project X. Obviously, Project X talked about it. We saw Lambo Land and Bobby talking about being big fans of Ape, so they're excited to work with them. I'll be honest. I loved ApeCoin on Solana. I thought it was a good move because that's where liquidity is traded. But I think there's a mind shift that has to happen there for people to say ApeCoin on Solana. Like, I don't think ApeCoin feels native to Solana, but I think it needs to be there as like sort of an opening kick down the gates. ApeCoin on Hyperliquid, ApeCoin on HyperEVM, ApeCoin on Project X. People, like, you talk about them using the idea of hyper financialization and what that means for them to have it constantly traded and constantly used. And now that I'm seeing it, I'm looking at it and saying, okay, I've been doing pump hype pools. I'm going to split those into 2 and do a hype 8 pool, maybe even a pump. Maybe I'll do all 3 and kind of combine them in different ways, because why wouldn't I, if it's earning max APY or APR, getting me towards that ultimate airdrop? I'm now in the top 800, closing in on the top 700, which, it's like anybody who's active on there has a real opportunity. Could be a great, a lot of people think that's going to be a really good airdrop. Those points are going to matter. I'm using OpenSea for swaps to balance out my pools, which helps my XP. But if I didn't want to, I do no fee swaps right on Project X, or eating those fees to get people to use it. So I think that this move, ApeCoin on Hyperliquid, hot take maybe, is bigger than the ApeCoin. I think ApeCoin and Solana was important to go first because of how tokens are traded. I think ApeCoin on Hyperliquid could be a major catalyst for them because people are actually going to move the token around a little bit more, versus I think on Solana, maybe not quite as much. Thoughts?
Yep. No, I agree. I think both are necessary, or also not necessary. Both are positive. And I'm assuming it's not the end. I'm assuming they're going to keep bridging to more and more chains as they kind of establish a foothold in each one. I think I look at the intent of Project Raid, right? Hyper-financialization of ApeCoin. The intent of Hyperliquid is to be the financialization kind of chain, right? Like they have kind of stated where their brand is going to be, the culture they're trying to build. It really just lines up, right? Like Solana has a culture that is years old, has a culture that is, yes, part meme coin and trading and token, and used to be some NFTs and some other stuff. And so it's a little muddied. But like, I think with Hyperliquid, you kind of have a bit of a fresh slate to kind of come in, do this thing, really effectuate the mission that you're having with Project Raid. And yeah, we'll see. I saw that. I was looking this morning at pools because I think right when they announced yesterday, like I think maybe like one person had joined the LP and the APR was like 2.5%. I'm like, oh boy, I really hope this goes somewhere. And so then I checked again this morning, and yeah, it was like 201. I think the Hype Pump was still ahead of it, but it was the only one that was ahead of it. So it was second to the Hype Pump pool, which has been the highest. We're down to whatever 260 or whatever it's at now, which is just a really weird thing to say when I get out of my inflated expectation crypto mind and talk about real world stuff. But no, I'm excited about it. I think it's a really smart move. I'm hoping that they continue to do this. I'm hoping that there's reasons to swap, reasons to start collecting those fees for the people who are doing this. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. I have no idea what it's going to do for the price of the token. Price of the token is impacted by so many things, but I think I'm glad they have an ethos. They have a mission. They are executing steps towards that mission in a way that I personally think makes sense. And we'll see where it goes. But no, I'm excited. I'm probably gonna do the same thing as you, Steve. I've been 100% in the Hype Pump pool. I'll probably start to spread around a little bit and play around with some different pools.
Yeah, just imagine like if they had done this since the beginning, although I know there weren't necessarily the same setups, but like they needed to go through all the different things. They went through the DAO. Look, I'm grateful for the DAO. They sponsored our show for a period of time, passed in a massive vote so that we appreciated the support from the community. But this, like, I do think Simple Farmer has meaningfully leveled up what they have going on over there by bringing in someone who has just started to say, I'm not going to sleep until we are everywhere. And they are doing their rapid ApeCoin deployment and integrations across all of these ecosystems. And it's a very positive and bullish sentiment to me that they are taking this seriously, that they are going immediately to Solana, which made sense. Then they're going to Project X, or I should say Hyper EVM, Hyperliquid, and then ultimately Project X, which is like, I think, an unlock for them with so many people there. The other thing about it, I think you hit on something as far as like Solana culture established, things like that. People, like, historical perception matters. And the people on Solana who are very big on Solana, I'm sure distinctly remember Solana's for the poors and, apes dunking on them and all these other things. And it's just, I think the culture in Solana is established, has been around for years. And there are certain things that they go towards and certain things they don't. And I think there's some hesitancy around Yuga, around apes, and all the like. I think conversely, to your point, I mean, Hyperliquid, and then you see Bobby and Lambo being like, we're thrilled to have them on. And you see those APYs cooking, which means people are putting money towards it, which means there actually was a strategy there versus, I know there were different types of Meteora pools, and we can get to that if we really want to get into the weeds, but like the pools that I like to use, the step pools, there really wasn't one for ape off the jump. You could kind of do the you couldn't do sort of the DLMM pool, I believe is what it's called. But here off the bat, very simple user interface. Go on there, swap right on the site into ApeCoin and deploy. And so I'm going to be on there. I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to probably do it at some point later today. I'm probably going to yank my funds off my pump hype pool and my fees. I'm probably going to swap on OpenSea, kind of eat some of those fees, but also level up my box. And then I'm probably going to deploy 50-50 into those two pools and honestly see which one prints better, because it's also a matter of volume. It's a matter of like, and it's also like momentum right now, because obviously pump is trading like crazy and hype is trading like crazy. We'll get into some of the reason hype is trading like crazy downward in later in the show, but hype and pump trading like crazy. But I think Ape's going to trade like crazy on there off the rip because it's new, it's novel, it's interesting, it's something different. So I think this is one where there might be an opportunity. So I'm looking forward to getting in on that. And I think it is one of the first products where it's like, yeah, everyone can get in on this and feel good about it. And I think, it's a good place for Project Raid to be. But Joey, I saw your hand fly up a second ago and it went back down. Let us know if you want to get in here. If not, we can kind of keep cooking topics. I think we lost Joey. I think he's nursing his hamstring. He had a hamstring injury. So he's probably doing some stretches, some toe touches, and trying not to irritate it.
No, I was just gonna add on. I think it's really smart that we're seeing all of these tokens go onto multiple chains and work with these other projects, because for so long, so many of these tokens just sat stagnant. And now it's creating this like Hyperliquid and Project X, and right, like they're creating opportunities now for these tokens. And I just think it's really smart for these projects to do this. And I didn't know because I haven't had a chance to look, but I'm probably now going to split the money that I've allocated for Project X. I'm probably going to do the same thing as you. I'm probably going to split it in half now and do a hype pump and a hype ape now.
Yeah. Good move. Let's do this. Let's do a daily market update. I think that'll dovetail us into our next topic, and then we will keep cooking.
The daily market update straight to your brain. Powered by ApeCoin, no hype, just gains. Moving on chain, we bringing the heat. NFTs, fence alpha, never miss a beat. Ape chain on top, now we bringing the flex. The home of NFTs, figures now what's next. Come on, my head time, bloody point time, chop for one time.
It is time for the daily market update. Powered by ApeCoin, the home of NFTs, the home of Project Raid, now on Project X. ApeCoin has it all, bringing culture, fun, and community to the blockchain. Dive in and see why ApeChain is on top. And so we'll hit some majors first, and then we'll kind of go on to some individual specific things. So some interesting stuff to discuss this morning. But Bitcoin, relatively flat, down about 3% on the 7 days, but seems like it is a stable coin the past basically quarter of the year so far. We'll see if that changes anytime soon. Ethereum, again, a lot of, similarly speaking, about a stable coin, down 7% on the week, but overall been pretty flat, been trading in that 4,100, say, to 4,300 range for quite a bit now at this point. I always like to sometimes throw in occasionally a tether is flat just to see if people are paying attention. Solana down to 212. Again, it kissed that 250 mark at one point, which was surprising to see it run up there. BNB coin, we never talk about. It's the outperformer of the market. We'll have more, on CZ a little bit later, but continues to cook up quite a bit on there. We'll hit some of the non-majors here in a second because I am thinking about some moves around these. I have a portfolio of some ones we talk about on CWC sometimes. So obviously Hyperliquid down almost 20% in 2 weeks based on what I'll show you here in a second. We had our friends on Polygon yesterday. It has stabilized after the market took a little bit of a run down. Pengu actually up a titch on the day, still teasing around that $2 billion market cap, down 10% on the week. I'm considering unloading my Pengu bag actually outside of what I need for my abstract boost. I've been increasingly less excited around there. Rekt taking a bath. They announced some new energy drink yesterday, but again, just has seemingly been, I know they hit an all-time high, and I am a big fan of Rekt, and I bought the drinks, and my drinks show up tomorrow. Rekt's been down only for a while, and we just have to call a spade and what it is. It has been down only for quite some time, and, as much as we're a fan, when we talk about it when it goes up, it's important to talk about it when it goes down. And I think, I'm going to play this chart out for, let's say, a month and see what it looks like. And at one point during the September, that was when it hit, I think, those all-time highs. September 13th. That can't be right. That has to be just a little drop in the bucket, because I feel like, yeah, that's correct. So hit its all-time highs in August, and it's basically been down for, over a month at this point, month and a half. So, still up on a 3-month time frame, but it feels like for the past, probably it's called 40, 50 days. We've just been riding Rekt all the way down. Was due for a breather, but it's kind of crazy. Aster was the one I was talking about. The reason why hype is taking a bath. Aster again in 24 hours. That's in the 3-month time frame because I had it on there. 24 hours, 20% up. I have called this token and been paying attention to this token since the weekend. I don't want to even say what the price was in the weekend, because I guess if you look at that, I looked at it probably at the 755 market cap point. We're now closing in on, or I should say at the 93 cent point, and now I'm looking at a 231. So I'm basically missing a 2.5x on this sucker by not properly paying attention to it. NFT floors real quick, and then we'll jump into this a little bit. Bored Ape Yacht Club up just a tat on the titch on the day, but mostly flat in the NFT market across the board. Moonbirds getting a little bit of a bid up. Spencer talking at having an event co-sponsored by Solana at Korea Blockchain Week. Perhaps token announcement sponsored by Solana. I don't know. Once threw in as a speculation in the war room. Newton's relatively flat. Lil Pudgy's down just a titch. Meebits continuing to be up just a little bit. Seems like there is still a lot of love for Meebits. Azuki jumping up as well. And I always watch Chromie Squiggle Floor, but I will never be able to afford one of those meaningfully, which always makes me sad. But I think people I'm curious what Mythics have been doing, because I think Mythics are one that I've been playing a little bit. I have swing traded Mythics on OpenSea a little bit. That's been one of my moves, actually, is I have swing traded Mythics where I buy them at like 0.29, 0.3. They go to like 0.32. I accept the WETH offer. I flip the WETH into ETH. I buy another one on the floor. I've done that, I think, 3 times now. And so that's helped my XP a little bit. And I've been at worst neutral on that trade. That's one of the places where I'm trying to say, like, hey, this is where I'm not going to give back fees, but I'm going to get back some more XP. And XP to value, if I lose $10 on a trade, still isn't that bad on buying a Mythic, which is not a inexpensive thing to buy. So Mythics I've been doing a little bit. I'm actually going to probably free some liquidity for another one of those moves today. But I've been doing a little bit more of that lately just to try and stay on top of it, because I think swing trading NFT is an opportunity there. And I think at some point, I don't know, at some point we're getting a burb announcement for a token. At that point, I have to think these things cook. So, Fun Friend, I don't know if you are in the Aster trade or you are worried about Hyperliquid. I have heard that the platform, I believe, I won't say who, but a person, a friend of mine said that using Aster, it was dog water, which is a good term that you don't hear too often. So it's a good USTC in there. I've heard people say, look, like Pump Fun, everybody thought was going to get killed by name competitor here, and it didn't work. Curious how are you shaking in your boots? Are you changing? Are you playing on Aster? Are you deploying in both? Do you have a position? Are you just sitting on the sidelines? How are you doing it as a person who is in the Hyperliquid ecosystem along with me?
I try not to talk about my Aster play. It had stabilized at about $1.60. And so I went on the Hyperliquid and took out a long, and it crashed just enough to liquidate me before going on its run to where it is now. So yeah, you talk about your 2 to 3x miss holding spot. Holding at a 10x long was a little more painful, but thankfully I don't play in perps with money I can't afford to lose. I treat it like my own meme coin bag. So it wasn't anything that was going to completely wreck me or, retire me on either direction. But I don't know. We'll see. I think we're in the too soon to tell, right? I think I think of like news cycles in this space. Something is the absolutely most amazing thing for like a week, and then maybe it fizzles, maybe it sustains. I gotta believe that CZ and the Binance team have some level of campaign and long-term strategy for this thing. And then I think the big question is, so then there's only so much liquidity out there. They obviously set their targets to vampire attack hype up front, right? Maybe we're starting to see that settle a little bit. We'll see where that goes. But then the question is, okay, after you go through, a lot of people, they're going to chase whatever's hot that week, right? It's kind of like meme coins, right? Meme coins, you were chasing the hot thing every 5 minutes. We're maybe chasing the hot thing every 5 days now. My question is like, let's get to next Monday. When we get to next Monday, what is the meta? Is there still a reason to buy Aster? Are there still stories coming out there where it's like, okay, everyone came in, they made their money, they got out, and now it's back to business as usual, and business may be back to hype. It may be just something, to whatever the next hot thing that hasn't even been announced is. Maybe everybody goes and buys Mythics, and Steve continues to swing trade his way into profit and better chess on OpenSea. Who knows? But I think when I zoom out a little bit, I do think we've talked about like DeFi summer. I guess we're now officially in DeFi fall. But that's the thing that I'm really interested in, right? Like hype kind of kickstarted this whole, at least in, I'll call it my timeline, right? I'm sure someone's going to say like, Mayhem and Phonics are like hitting me in the war room right now saying like, dude, DeFi's been around for years. But DeFi for the masses, DeFi for broader adoption is like 2-3 months old, I'd say, where it's really
undeniably a trend right now. Real quick, I'll let you keep cooking, but like, I mentioned Katana, which I think with a couple changes could be a major DeFi chain for people out in normies, because if they just introduced a like a privy wallet and made a different front end, they could absolutely cook on what that looks like because it's really user friendly. But it's undeniable that DeFi chains and DeFi apps are becoming much more ubiquitous right now. So yeah, I know people will tell you like, oh, it's been around and you're just catching on, but like Hyperliquid, Aster, Lighter, you could go on and on. Like I said, Katana is a chain overall. It's the usage of DeFi and the ubiquity of people talking about it. Like you didn't have people in the ape ecosystem talking about DeFi. Now you do on Project X. Now you do on Meteora. Now you do with Project Raid. So it's expanding its sort of addressable market greatly. So yeah, keep cooking, but I agree with you.
Totally, right? And so I don't think Aster's going to be the last one. I don't know who's next. I got to believe someone else is going to, seek to take all of this money, right? If I'm a builder, right, and I'm building chains and I'm building dApps, and I see, wow, where do people really want to spend their money right now? It's in DeFi products. I'm spinning up a DeFi product, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised if we see other chains, right? Base others who are, they also, they have DeFi products, but maybe not, it's not the main thing. They, people start spinning up the main thing on those, chains in those areas where they spin up their own chains. It's more costly, and all the money's going to play around, right? So I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to follow the money. I'm going to decide, what I'll probably do is like I did with Aster, because I do think, I know you said not financial advice. I will also say not financial advice. I don't know which one of these hits and which don't, right? They all can't hit, right? There's not enough liquidity to have infinite amount of money that every single one of these is an absolute cook. So I will probably take the same play I did with Aster, which is make a small bet, see where it goes, right? If I'm down, I'm down a little bit. If I'm up a little bit, and then I can decide if I want to dip more than a toe in the water. Because I just have to believe, like NFTs were in 2021, like meme coins were in late 2024, the smart money is going to say, I can make something here. People are going to use my product, and that's a good thing for me. Let me strike while the iron's hot. They will all spin something up. You're going to have really good products, and you're going to have dog water products. I love that phrase as well. I was also really digging your use of the word titch earlier. I think I counted 3 or 4 of them. That was a solid one as well. But and we'll go play, right? So I'll tiptoe in, and then I'll decide whether I jump. Like I didn't mean, to be honest, I did that with Meteora. I did it with Project X. And I'll do it with the next thing.
Yeah, it's got to be within your own risk tolerance and understanding. The other thing about it, as far as people looking at price, like I made the comment, I'm like, oh man, I saw this thing, I missed a 2-3x on it. Look, I didn't get into Hyperliquid till the $25, $30, $35 range. I don't remember exactly where it was. I'm up really nicely on that from the hype that I have staked in Kinetic, and it's earning 7-8%. So like I'm perfectly fine there. Right now, Aster is at a $4 billion market cap. To Von Frun's point, if it starts to catch steam and get more attention, Hyperliquid, I believe, is at a $12 billion market cap, like an FTV of like 45, but like a $12 billion market cap. And, you have a $3 billion market cap in Aster. I know there's tokenomics and how much is distributed and all that stuff. But when you start to look at the math, you start mathing the math together. If Aster is coming closer, if it even becomes half of Hyperliquid at a market cap level, you still have, not quite a 2x to go on that. So it's like, we have people, like there are things that you have to run into. I had this comment the other day, and by the way, like Cap and I were talking about streaming on Pump. We didn't get it set up before he went on his vacation, and we'll get it set up probably this week. Next week, we're trying to figure out and deploy it right. A lot of people are like, just do it. You can just do it. I'm like, I want to talk to people who have done it so that I know what I'm doing here before I just like, should I be spending? Someone said 40 or 50 soul into it. Somebody said, don't put any soul into it. Like, I want to get experts who are doing this and using it before I did it. But we talked about pump. And
I'm one of those people that keeps telling you to just do it, by the way, for the record.
Yeah, the man who says, like, I dip my toe into everything is like, but when it's somebody else doing it,
whole leg, just put the whole leg in, go.
Just go, yeah, whole hog. I've had this conversation too. It's funny, like, it's like there are like I feel like we always say not financial advice. I feel like your friends are the people you can give financial advice to because they're the ones who understand the risks at play. And like, your friends well enough to know exactly what they're saying. And like, I'd look at Von Front and be like, if you were launching a streaming platform on Pump, I think you'd be talking to, Eddie and Jonah and everybody about it first and making sure you did it right. And, maybe even tossing a text to good old Thread Guy and all those good people. But I think the thing about it is like, someone said to me, they're like, if you don't start streaming this week, it'll be massive losses. You got to do it. I'm like, if it is a massive missed opportunity for me not to stream today versus 6.5 days from now, then I don't know that I want to be in that opportunity at all. Because yes, it is, but like, you can take advantage of quick things like the Laudio campaign or whatever you want to call it. But end of the day, like, patience is a virtue for me, and my investment strategy has never been overly aggressive. Like, I DCA'd into index funds for years and still do in IRAs, in 401ks, etc. Like, I am not Mr. I'm going to go out and like I heard people tell me that they had $100,000 in IRAs and 401ks, and once the Bitcoin ETF came in, they went 100% into that. I'm like, you're already overexposed to crypto, and now you're doing even more crypto on top of your crypto. It's like Exhibit on Pimp My Ride decided to make a crypto portfolio and put crypto on top of your crypto. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, so I just think like my strategy has always been like, look, I'm okay being a little bit late, but not getting absolutely wrecked because this is my job. I play with my disposable income for sure, but I try to be clever about it. But I don't know. So like, I think with something like, to put the train back on the tracks, when I look at Aster, I missed it, even though I saw it happening. I missed it again, thinking there might be a little breather and an opportunity for me to get in. And I'm, not going to miss it forever. If it becomes a trend, like you said it perfectly. If next Monday we're still having this conversation, if over the weekend we're still having this conversation, and if at that point it's at a $5.5 billion market cap, yeah, like I might jump in and grab a bag or play along or start figuring out a way to get involved in that ecosystem. They do have another airdrop coming in 2 weeks. So that could be an event that leads to a lot of, and that honestly, that might be the play. Airdrop in, I think, 12 days, another airdrop for Aster. Play might be to just go on there, play some perps, try to mitigate risk as much as possible, earn towards an airdrop, and then watch if it shorts on the airdrop. And then, because I think 12 days from now when the airdrop happens, which is an eternity in crypto, we're going to have a much better answer as to what this thing is because we'll know what people are doing with those tokens. Thoughts?
No, absolutely. I think 12 days, like you might as well just launch this thing in 2030. I think the other thing that we underestimate, and I think it was Nil said this yesterday. And by the way, the size of the brain on that man is impressive. Although I do not like him calling 31-year-olds old, where I'm sitting here 12 years his senior. But that's a different discussion. I think we don't, we have you and I are sitting here in the United States, in the Midwest of the United States. We have a very kind of Western centric kind of view of the world, just given where we live. Right. I think we underappreciate and underestimate what other parts of the world are doing and how you can, even though we're in a global community and crypto has no borders and all that kind of stuff, it kind of does, right? Culture has borders, right? And Binance in general teaches us that, right? Aster in general probably teaches us that. Go to NFTs, Mochaverse and all things Animoca taught us that just because it's not on your timeline, just because it may not be the thing that you are in, doesn't mean that there aren't people there and people with size and people that may even be more excited about it than, people in your timeline are. And so I think it's never a bad thing to experiment experiment with the appropriate amount of size that you are potentially prepared to lose. And I think that's a hard thing for us. I mean, like, crypto has attracted, you know, we always joke about being degens, right? But crypto has really attracted people who are very high on the risk tolerance, right? Like, I mean, you said it, which bravo on the exhibit reference, by the way. Really, if we could just have a whole show with like late 90s, early 2000s references, I'm going to be happy. I think our audience is probably going to tune out, but you know, your audience of one here on stage is going to love it. But the, I do think that it's okay to experiment. Don't go all in, right? I mean, and go all in if you want to go all in. I'll say freedom to transact. I started off the show with that. Do whatever you want, but there's so much stuff out there, right? And I think what I'm personally gonna try to do, right? And this is probably this is my own mission. You guys can follow me or not out there. Is I'm gonna try to seek out things that are not on my timeline, right? My timeline, my algo is highly curated to the world that has been my world for the past, 4+ years that I've been in the space. And I've missed things on that, right? Because I'm not paying attention, because things don't serve up to me, right? Like, thank God for the war room, to be honest with you. Like, I feel like we have a good amalgamation of people in the war room that have different algos or different group chats or different, Telegram chat, whatever, that can give us that really diverse perspective. I wouldn't be in most of the things I'm in right now if it weren't for the people in the war room that, kind of help balance the views that, I get served to me. But I'm going to look into this. Like I said, like Aster and what they're doing over there, whether you like it or not, whether the platform is good or not, whether, it has longevity, it's the next experiment, right? Or it's a experiment. And I think there's going to be more experiments. And I think it's going to be like, we're going to find one that works, right? Most will fail. I still believe, I think the Gary V comment from 2021 about NFTs, 99% of them will fail. I think 99% of the things in this space are going to fail, which is why I never go in big early. And I miss the home runs on this one, but I miss all the strikeouts too. And I'm going for on-base percentage. I'm trying to moneyball this thing, and we will take good, safe bets where they are. And if I see that fastball going right down the middle and I'm Barry Bonds on 10 years of steroids, then I'll swing at that one. But until I got that pitch, we're just trying to get on base.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's the way to play it. And I'm trying to find some stats, by the way, on like the on DeFi, because I know some people are challenging about the time on it. But it's like, I think DeFi TVL is higher than it's ever been significantly right now. And the other thing is like, look, the president's son came out and talked about DeFi before the election season about, how the powerful DeFi is and what it is. So I think it's inarguable that DeFi is bigger now than it's been, and more people are getting into it. And I think it's more accessible than ever for people like you and me who maybe aren't major blockchain experts. But let's do this. I'm going to hit more, and talk about our guy CZ, and then we can keep cooking, because I know we have some other topics we want to hit on this morning as well. But just to, put a button on that one, agree with you, man. Agree with you. Like, I have a similar risk tolerance, a similar approach on things. It's not for everybody, but it's different stages of life too. I'd probably have a bigger risk tolerance if I was 23 years old and flush with money from meme coin trading. I probably have a bigger risk tolerance if I was 27 years old, 26 years old, and was married with no kids, or I was single and just living in an apartment with some friends, right? I am 42 years old with 2 middle schoolers, 2 large breed dogs, and a house and a mortgage and a couple cars and bills and school field trip payments and all of the like. And so my risk tolerance is a little bit different. Now, if I was like rich and hit it big on something, obviously it'd be different if I hit a major windfall, but it's a little bit different. And just so you know, after the end of the more, I know that, to Peterson, you were asking about the Pudgy and the Pengu token. I will get back to that and talk a little abstract maybe on the other side of more, because I do think we had a pretty good discussion in the Worm about that yesterday. Maybe talk about that at a high level potentially and hit on that.
The more you know, brought to you by ENS.
It's time for the More You Know, brought to you by ENS. And we talked a little bit about CZ this morning. Changpeng Zhao, better known as CZ, is one of crypto's most recognizable figures, born in China and raised in Canada, buddy. He cut his teeth during building trading systems before launching Binance in 2017. His leadership Under his leadership, Binance became the world's largest exchange, at times handling more than 2/3 of global crypto trading volume. But CZ's story isn't just about rapid growth, it's about controversy. He played a key role in exposing FTX's shaky foundation in 2022. Wonder if he had a little bit of a special interest there, sparking the chain reaction that led to Sam Bankman-Fried's collapse and ultimate arrest. But regulators soon turned their attention on him. In 2023, he pled guilty to violating U.S. anti-money laundering laws, stepping down as CEO and accepting a $50 million fine, which for CZ is probably the equivalent of about 6 cents. In 2024, he was sentenced to 4 months in federal prison, a striking fall for a man who once stood at the center of the crypto universe. But now he's back, fresh out, and already running again. CZ is reemerging as a force in the industry, proving his story is far from finished. Don't fade CZ. And that was The More You Know, brought to you by ENS. ENS does more than you know, not just anchoring your name across the internet or across the Web3, but anchoring it across the internet. It's your identity, simple, memorable, and unmistakably yours. Go to ens.domain to secure your ENS domain today. Relevant to the comment here, and I think maybe we can have a discussion as deep as we want to go on it. Toot Peterson said, Steve quietly bearish on Pudgy day what? And kind of, because I mentioned I was thinking about selling my Pengu bag. Here's where I'm at with Pengu. Here's where I'm at with Pudgy. I think a couple things. I think, number one, I'm probably overexposed to it to begin with. I thought it was going to be a really, really big cooker, sort of the meme coin of the cycle, potentially alongside Rekt. Both of those bets are up significantly for me, which is good, but down from, where they were at all-time highs, obviously. Pengu's got a big market cap. I think it's at like 2 billion right now. So it's not small for a token that is simply sort of a meme coin that's tied to a brand that's proliferating right now. Obviously, there's opportunities with Pengu ETFs, things like that could ultimately help it move. But do I need more than the Pengu requires to get a booster in abstract, the first level booster in abstract? Probably not. And I do have more than that. Could I use that money to farm OpenSea? Could I use that money in LPs? Yes, I could. So those are my opportunity costs on there. As far as it goes, and I'll be careful how I kind of go about this because I want to have this balanced take. Abstract's been getting a lot of FUD lately. Abstract is getting way too much FUD for all things considered. However, there's been these discussions about sort of insider trading things going on, which I'd like to see some proof on that. If people are going to come, you should come with receipts. But Abstract as a whole, which I am grateful to stream on there. I actually checked the streaming platform. We're ranking again higher, which wasn't happening for a while. We haven't had a flash badge in a while. Feels like there was a couple of months of marketing campaigns baked in, but we haven't seen much since then. They have some good games that they haven't really activated and done a lot with. We're going to be activating some stuff with some games on Abstract tomorrow on our end, though, so that should be fun for the audience. Something we're going to do there. We talked about the XP tiers being way too wide. Sigar announced some changes to the Abstract XP tier system. Diamond tier will be more attainable. Yes, I know 10 million was a high number. We'll add tiers reserved specifically for super high tier XP earners. They're a fair number of you. We'll feature sub tiers. He did this after TMA, a whale in the ecosystem who's earning a ton of things in a lot of ecosystems. One of our friends and listeners of the show. TMA was complaining about this and tweeted about it and saw the response. He's not the first person to talk about this. My worries about the Pengu token are this contagion idea that there is this spillover right now from the perception of Abstract into Pengu, into Pudgy Penguins. And I'm not saying it's legitimate. I still believe in Luca, what he's building. I believe in, the Pudgy Penguin proliferating. I'm struggling with the way that these things all connect right now and seeing that there's all these things with Abstract as far as executionally from a marketing perspective. Privately, I've had conversations I'm not going to get into with people who have said that there are dApps that, they're like, man, we're not getting the sport, or we wish we hadn't built an Abstract type thing. We've seen, other things happen. By the way, Good Vibes Club, probably a good decision for them not to launch there ultimately when it was the thing of the day. The streaming platform I've mentioned, there's not notifications when people start streaming like other streaming platforms. It felt like that was coming when they did subscribes. We generally rank low despite having more watchers and viewers and listeners. In other feeds, sometimes people with 0 or 1 far above us. The XP system, I feel, tends to be broken. It feels clicky where I see people with, regularly saying I have 300,000, 200, 37x my XP on a weekly basis. My XP goes up and down, and I don't know why. I can't see. The NFTs tend to be underwater. The meme coins tend to be underwater. this isn't FUD. These are the things that people feel about Abstract. And I feel like that contagion is spilling over into the timeline. We don't know when TGE is going to be. Now, you have Get Rich Nick saying it's not going to be this year. I wouldn't bet on it being this year. I don't know. Like, Abstract feels like it's going through some growing pains right now. And that contagion for me is falling over into the whole Igloo ecosystem. So anyway, I want to get your take on any of that, because I know I spit a lot out there, and I think there's a million marketing ideas you could throw out that could help Abstract at least continue to move. We talked about like 4 or 5 in the war room yesterday, but like, man, it does feel like they've lost motion, and it's affecting how I feel about Pengu and Pudgy.
Yeah. So there's 3 thoughts that come to my mind, right? As you're talking, and some of this we've talked about in the war room and some of it we haven't, right? So I think the first thing, and this is not just an Abstract thing, I think this is an everybody thing. Managing a long campaign is super difficult for any brand, Web3, whatever, right? Like, you don't see, and I won't get into like, Web 2 marketing kind of stuff like that, though I know you'd love to cook on that, Steve. But like, you don't see many brands in general do year-long campaigns about anything, right? Like, you will see, when I was in the corporate world, I was, working with, large brands myself, and you would measure like your TV commercial, like, when do you actually start to see like kind of burnout? Like, people have been like, okay, it's not actually getting the views, the clicks, the ratings, the whatever that it used to. People are tired with this idea. Time to move on to the next thing, right? It's human nature. And so Abstract, they've been at it for what, 8-ish months now, because they launched January, so it's September, so that's 8 months. They're on it hasn't been in sprints or seasons or things like that, right? Like, shout out to the old Starbucks Odyssey team. Y'all did a really, really good job keeping our attention over the course of a year, because there were little weekly sprints that laddered up to little quarterly sprints that laddered up to a little annual sprint, and it fed into just human psychology, right? So I think, and I think OpenSea, they're doing a better job a little bit now. Like, you had a previous version of the farm, get your XP. Now you've got the treasure chest thing. So maybe it's not quite a sprint, but they're definitely not marathons. They're running miles instead of marathons now. So part of it is like, you've got to match your marketing to human psychology. It's even harder in this space, because if it's not making me money in the next 2 days, I'm on to the next thing, right? And that leads me to the opacity of it. And I think opacity goes 2 ways, right? In one way, we hate knowing exactly what's going to happen, because we love the speculation, and we love what speculation does to the number go upness of our Tokis and our JPEGs. And so part of it is like, the announcement of the announcement. We make fun of it, but we also kind of love it, because we want the timeline to go crazy and speculation and people to buy off speculation, so I can sell into a run up and make money. But then we hate it, because I'm like, well, I don't know what to do now, right? If somebody just said, hold Pengu, it's gonna like trust me, right? Then maybe we do, right? We look at doodles, right? Very early in what became the Dude campaign, right? And I forget what, after the TGE and stuff like that, but the team told us, put your doodle into space, trust me. We put our doodles into space. Guess what happened? The people who put their doodles into space ate at TGE, more so than anybody else, because they ranked up the space miles, right? So
People were mad about that, by the way. I was like, they literally told you what to do, and you just need
like on your show, Julian said, put your doodles into space. That is the alpha. It was like April of last year, and I did it that day, right? And so it's a we like it both ways. We want to know what we're supposed to do, but we don't want anyone else to know, because then they can speculate and make our number go up. So, and I get what they're trying to do, right? They don't want people to farm the system. They don't want people to hack and create bots that just buy and sell meme coins or buy and sell NFTs or auto log in and tip, the bots that, come in and tip streamers and keep telling you headshot on your show. Which maybe they're just complimenting your really nicely framed headshot, with your lovely Web3 background. Who knows? But I do think there's a balance somewhere in the middle, right? I don't know if it's, it would appear that the abstract team isn't hitting it based on where the timeline is right now. But who knows? Maybe that's not their KPI. Their KPI may not be what does the timeline think right now. Their KPI could be what's the usage and what are the dApps coming in and what's the activity and the number of wallets and whatever. So who knows? I think the last thing you talk about spillover across the Igloo ecosystem. And this is, I think, the pros and the cons of having somebody like Luca as your founder, right? Luca is a ridiculous talent and an incredible strength for the Igloo brand to have when he is involved, right? And when Luca shows up and Luca starts doing his thing and is being Luca, and we're seeing him in Korea on the timeline right now, right? Things are good, right? People get excited. You are ready to run through a brick wall for that man because of how he pumps you up about whatever the next thing they're doing is. But when he's not there, and he largely hasn't been there on Abstract, he is letting the Abstract team run, which as a CEO, you've got to be able to delegate to your generals and let them run and do their thing. It can be seen as a negative because you're like, well, where's the guy, right? I wanted to see the guy, right? Like, you go to, let me make a really random reference here, right? But like, you go to see Hamilton 10 years ago and Lin-Manuel Miranda isn't there and it's the understudy. And you're like, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a fine show, but I kind of came here to see the guy. And so I think that's an interesting thing that he's going to have to balance as a leader. He can't be everywhere at once. He shouldn't be everywhere at once. And he's going to have to decide where his presence is actually creating the greatest good for his company. And sometimes that is in front of his users and his community and his customers, like he's doing right now in Korea. And to be honest, sometimes that is nowhere near us because he needs to be talking to investors and ETFs and VC companies and, doing business development deals in the back, behind the scenes. So he's got to figure that out. I think he's also going to have to make sure that he continues to put a really strong team around him that can do all of these things when he is not there. Maybe not at the same level as him because he's just got the ethos around him, the Riz, as the kids are saying. But they've got to be close and they've got to be able to do all the things that he's doing, even if they don't have the same, gravitas that he does in the public sphere.
It's funny, interesting reference. I saw Hamilton 10 years ago with Lin-Manuel Miranda's understudy. So, and that was actually, I knew that was happening. Still had Anthony Ramos and Jonathan Goff and David Diggs and Leslie Odom Jr. and so on and so forth. It's just, I knew he wasn't going to be there. So this wasn't like a bait and switch type thing. And the understudy was actually really, really, really good. But to your point, like not Lin-Manuel Miranda, who, if you want a really niche reference, if you rewatch Sopranos, you'll find Lin-Manuel Miranda has a cameo as a bellhop back before he was super famous or big on Broadway, when I think it's Tony and maybe it's Pauly are on the run for something and leaving, getting laid low for a minute. So pretty good. I think it was like the Tony and Pauly episode where Tony felt Pauly was feeling separated, more Christopher Love there, etc. Anyway, to your point, and I see like Be Epic is our favorite abstract bull. Says Lucas says true believers will eat. The thing is here, if everyone is here for XP, then the token just fails. Agree with both of those. Agree what Lucas said. One of my biggest concerns with abstracts becomes the following again, though. True believers eat. Abstract XP eat. Little pudgies are going to eat. Big pudgies are going to eat. There's going to be $1 million streamers. Like the amount of mouths to feed at a TGE for a chain that doesn't have a lot of TVL, that doesn't really necessarily have killer dApps that could kind of pick up and move that are kind of unique to them. There is a little bit of a concern with kind of being able to deliver on that. Not saying he can't. He's great. He's always delivered for everything he's, put out there. But, there's a lot of hype around that. On top of saying Pengu is going to be the biggest meme in the world, on top of Pudgy Penguins proliferating, it is a lot to bite off. And so it's a lot for any man to bite off. I mean, you give a couple examples because I don't mind sharing these publicly. Like it's, it is what it is. But like, I talked about like Abstract losing its motion. It felt like they had a couple of like big launches. And since then it's been like Abstract August is coming, Abstract Autumn's coming. And it's like, that's not getting people excited. It's actions that get people excited. So for example, I gave an example, like run a monthly Abstract games for a period of time. You have a streaming platform to do it. You have different formats. Like 1 month it's meme coin communities. 1 month it's PFPs and Abstract. Another month it's influencers. You juice the pot with XP, Abstract NFTs, and memes, which could be donated. You juice it with Pengu. You have a mint where people can pick a side and you can only mint one token for those people. And then, people watch and they cheer for their team because they're going to get a percentage of the prize pool if their team wins, right? And you could even have those NFTs be tradable on the secondary. So someone can diversify teams. Somebody could buy all the teams, or you make them soul bound so that you have to root hard. You could decide on what you think the best strategy is. That people play, they'll stream, they'll tip, 2 to 3 tourneys, 2 to 3 days each, so that there's sort of a final that people can watch. Like that's one example of things. Another example, like you have a streaming platform, collect SMS and emails and notify when people go live. Like seems like it's a logical thing that you would have on a streaming platform is you would have SMS and sort of emails that notify when people go live, have happy hours where you randomly tip or extra tip a streamer and you actually tip the tipper then too. So then people are encouraged to tip during those happy hours. So you have a lot of tips going on. So your streamers are making money. People are tipping little bits here and there. And you surprise certain tippers with things. You could have a blog, which helps, you with SEO that helps promote via partners, an email newsletter to drive awareness, collect emails, co-op streamers to do interviews on new dApps. Like be the PR firm that puts media tours on for your dApps. Like these are a few small, like tactical suggestions as an idea, but the idea of having this like again, long-term marketing plan. Be Epic, thank you for the tip. Appreciate you very much. It's definitely super helpful. I think it's like those long-term marketing strategies of, even retail holidays. We've been saying this, Cap and I've been saying this since 2021. You have Christmas or the holiday season, you have New Year's, you have 4th of July in America, you have all, summer sales, you have winter sales, you have New Year's sales, you have, you could have leap day sales on those things. Like there are so many retail holidays to play around with. You could, try to go past Amazon Prime Day. Retail holidays, do activations around retail holidays. VFriends does this incredibly well with SMS and text notifications. No surprise, they sell out. Things they sell tend to do well in secondary. The hats, the cards, they all like do well in secondary. Like all of these things are the sort of marketing playbook that you would hear from, the my Web 2 world, where it's like at the beginning of the year, you kind of set your intentions. What are our goals? I talked about it before. Progressive insurance, like we might say we're trying to get more people who bundle home and auto insurance because we do really well on the people who just have car insurance who are higher risk and we price them well, but we want more bundlers. So with that in mind, how do you, split your pot 75-25 onto this group of people and this group of people? Okay, now that we know that's our intention, what is our marketing plan for the year? How are we going to have strategies? Every company I worked at knew what they were going to do months out, and they would change it based on market conditions. They would change it based on what they were doing. Obviously, the space moves quickly, but knowing that there was like a plan for all of these different sort of, launches of dApps, retail holidays, streamers, like all of who are your 10 core audiences? What does your addressable market look like? What do your core consumers look like? What do your core users look like? Is it concentric circles? Is it a funnel? Like, there are so many things you design around these things, and it feels like those things aren't in place at Abstract. And again, it's not FUD or knocking them. I like a lot of games on the chain. I play the Pirate Nation Arcade. I play Death Fun. I play, I love Newt, who's a regular in the mentions. I've, traded some NFTs. I like the streaming platform. There's a lot of things to like about Abstract. They have a great community, but all the things I mentioned earlier are these things that are separating it and driving it into some, bad spots for a lot of people. And I think it's having contagion on the rest of the ecosystem. And I think it's solvable. I just don't know what the plan is there. And I think for a lot of people, and I'm speaking based on feedback I'm seeing and based on things I'm seeing in my DMs, because the team seemed unaware of we talked about the tier split on this show months ago, that once you get to gold tier, you're not getting a diamond. So people are not motivated to do certain farming or other activities or things. And at least they know farm wars, but I know they're changing that. But months later, they're like, okay, we hear it, we're changing it. Like, you need to have a better ear to the ground on that stuff, because that's been a thing that people have been saying since the beginning. So I don't know. Like, if I keep hearing, you won't believe what's going to come on Abstract, like a BuzzFeed article type thing, I don't know that that's going to continue to move the chain. And all the things I mentioned earlier, from the clickiness that people talk about, to the certain people eating that other people don't see, to the, like, it's piling up. And I just think they need to pull, like, there's the old phrase from Toyota when they're manufacturing, from a book called Creativity Inc. that I had read by the co-founder of Pixar. And they have this idea that they created at Pixar, the idea of, like, pull the supply chain. Anybody can stop the supply chain at Toyota. And what made them more efficient is that they thought it was going to be less efficient. But what happened was, anybody stopping the supply chain when something going wrong meant they were empowered to do so, and they fixed problems before they happened, and then they ended up moving quicker. They were more efficient. They were better products. Someone on that supply chain needs to pull it and be like, hey, here's a dozen pieces of feedback, and we should sit in a room for 2 days on an offsite until we solve all of them and come back with a plan. And then we should go announce our plan on a stream with Eli or one of your big streamers, Marianne, have a whole thing, do an Abstract day where you talk about the next phase of Abstract and what it's going to look like. Make it an event, put together some slides, put together a huge presentation. You know, I love some slides. Like, address the problems you're hearing in the market, because you can pivot on it. And it's not like it's this too late to fix thing. It's just, you want to see it fixed from some of these awesome companies like Abstract, like Igloo. And it feels like right now, it's just the motion is kind of lost. And it's like, well, we're fixing the XP system. Band-Aid on a hatchet wound. Thoughts?
Oh, I have many. When you mentioned BuzzFeed, I'm trying to think of, like, you know, should they be like putting out surveys of, like, you know, take this survey to figure out which meme coin you are? But I would not recommend that. No,
it actually works. Those things work surprisingly.
Oh no, they were. There was a period of my life where my wife and I would just continue to send polls to each other to figure out, like, you know
which Disney princess you are for sure. Yeah.
I was always mad at that one. I kept getting Snow White, and I'm like, nah, that's not my vibe. Not my vibe.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's again, Abstract is I mean, if I think about their life as Abstract with an in-market product, they are a less than 1 year old company, right? Less than 1 year old companies are not going to get everything right. So I'm going to give them some grace on that side. But I think they are a well-funded, well-resourced, you know, with, I think, some really smart people in the room, less than 1 year old company. And so, no, I think everything you're saying makes sense. I also love how it said, like, hey, let's not get you going down a deep Web 2 sales and marketing talk, and the first thing you bring up is email and SMS. And I was like, well, there goes that. No, I think, again, I look at that. Actually, I don't know if when I was away, if you guys talked about Rekt, but I did want to bring that up, because I think you're seeing, again, so much smaller scale and, like, the product that they're launching, but you see the little things, right? If I use the microcosm of what Rekt did, right? And I'm going to say did, not doing, but, like, they said, we want to sell 1 million drinks in our first year, right? They gave themselves this audacious goal. They said, here's the thing. They said, hey, we're going to have drink points. We're going to have Rekt coin. That's going to be the way that we're going to reward people for using our product. Go out and buy our product. And, you know, outside of the base drop, where they were very clearly communicated, no rewards with this one, they had some reward in some way, shape, or form, right? It was points. It was your Jupiter Vault that unlocks in a month. It was whatever. And then as things went wrong, as things changed, they adapted, right? You talked about it. They adapted the whole ETH wallet thing over the weekend, and people are going to get their ETH now from the MoonPay drop. They did it in sprints, right? We all got excited for who's the next drop going to be. Each drop was executed really well. You didn't have to wait a ton of time between the announcement and the drop. And it kind of it was this sprint by sprint. It led up to this mission, and they hit their 1 million cans in the first year. And now you know, I saw they announced the energy drink. Excited about that. Excited to see how they expand the product line. But it's these very little, small, simple things. And granted, they're not launching a chain and trying to keep streamers and developers and users and traders and all these other things, you know, satisfied. So not trying to say it's just as easy as being active on, you know, in the Discord and figuring things out. But I think there are some lessons there, right? Real clear goal, really like set sprints. You know, you had you chunked up your year in these different kind of milestones, good communication, good execution, and, you know, little things along the way, you know, like their YouTube series, like, you know, being on the timeline, like all these other things that kind of help you stay involved along the way. I gotta believe, to your point, the abstract team with the resources and the brain power that they have there could sit in a room for 2 days and kind of figure that stuff out and build something that, to be honest, makes us forget that it's been 8 months. Makes us just wondering like, hey, what's going on the next 4 weeks? Really excited about this sprint. And then come November 1st, they announce the next thing. And then December 1st, they announce the next thing. And whether it's any of the suggestions that you put out there or something different, you can keep our attention. You can keep dangling the shiny object in front of us. We're going to follow it. If, you know, if our previous conversation around Aster and Hyperliquid and all that stuff is proof point, we will follow shiny objects in this space, right? It is the one thing that you can damn near guarantee in Web3, that we love ourselves a good shiny object. So just keep putting shiny objects out there. And I think it probably solves a lot of the FUD. It keeps your usage up. And to be honest, it probably gives you a really, really organic way to highlight whether it's new apps, new coins, new NFTs, new whatever, because you've built in that mechanism that keeps the crowd hungry.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and I've the other thing I'll say on this, on the Rekt thing, because I want to actually kind of almost pivot to that a little bit, because I know we're going to beat the abstract conversation in the ground a little bit. I think you mentioned Rekt and kind of them doing well and what they're doing with their sort of wave marketing campaign and things they've done with that, with the various people they've gone to. Your thoughts on the energy drink that they announced? Because I have some thoughts on this, but I want to kind of kick your way to get on it, because I you know, it's funny. Like, actually, I'll share just two quick ones. One, I know somebody said, like, why haven't they gone to hard seltzers? They should have gone to energy drinks. Alcohol distribution is not only really difficult, but it's actually, alcohol is a industry that is falling backwards. Functional beverages are jumping way up. The other thing is, I don't know what, 3 weeks ago or something, they announced a partnership with the FaZe Clan. Those people drink energy drinks and have a massive reach. Feels like a distribution plan for a new beverage category, right?
Oh, I love it so much. I love it so much. We talked a little bit about this in the war room, but I'll share my thoughts here as well, right? Like, yeah, I agree. Getting into alcohol, like, I've never made alcohol. I've talked to people who make alcohol, and it's really hard. And there's law. I mean, just in the US alone, you have to deal with 50 separate states, let alone whatever you're going to be doing internationally. Let alone, to your point, is the broader market a place that you want to go play into, or do you want to go into a growing market, right? So decision alone, just outside of their previous deal, which again, I think is a brilliant move as well. So I think functional beverages. Now, could they have gone into, you know, these, you know, mushroom-based things, or, you know, more workout focus? Maybe they will, right? Energy sounds like a really good place to start. But I see a strategy, right? You see them announce a partnership with I forget who's the parent company that has the deal that they actually signed
something
with.
or other. Yeah, I don't remember, but
yeah,
I remember
yep. Yeah, but again, they're gonna have their brand name, their logo on the FaZe Clan esports jersey, right? Like, you're gonna see the brand. Now they're gonna have a product that they can sell to a customer who is already in that ecosystem and buying that product, right? And I'm sure they're gonna start to expand and, you know, new flavors, new whatever, right? Like, you see the pieces coming together. It starts to make sense, right? And it's like, I'm gonna guess, I have no alpha here, right? You know, I know people close to the team, but, you know, I'm not close to Ovi or Mando or Tabs or the team directly. But I'm gonna guess that plan was hatched like 6 to 12 months ago. And they said, hey, year one, we're going to go into carbonated water, right? And we're going to go down this path, and we're going to sell 1 million cans, and we're going to do it this way, largely through a Web3 e-com distribution, you know, a little bit through a 7-Eleven because we want to test retail distribution, whatever, right? There was probably a very organic plan that was built out, or one that was kind of like maybe cobbled together throughout, because to your point, things change, markets change, and they may have had to pivot and adjust. And at some point and said, okay, phase 2, we're going to go into functional beverages, right? You could go into energy drinks and esports and gaming would make a natural thing. Maybe we can go into more, health and, protein or something like that. And they would have signed a different distribution partner, right? They would have signed with, Crunch Fitness or somebody and distributed energy drinks and hydration, electrolyte drinks in gyms and, fitness spas, whatever. But it makes sense. They're expanding their product. They're getting distribution. Any good founder will tell you that distribution is probably the most important thing that you can focus on, right? A lot of early founders, first-time founders will focus on product. They want to make the best product ever, and they assume that if you build it, they will come. I can tell you there's nothing further from the truth as a founder myself. You've got to think through distribution. You've got to think through how am I actually getting this product in the marketplace? They are thinking through distribution. Their phase one, their distribution was, I'm going to leverage the degens in my community, the people who supported my brand from day one, that are going to be, they either love me to love me, or they're going to love me because I'm going to give them some, tokens, as a reward. That was a distribution plan for phase one. Distribution plan for phase two, I'm going to sell energy drinks to people who love energy drinks. Kind of seems like a no-brainer in hindsight, but there's thought process. They didn't just make an energy drink and said, I don't know, put it in 7-Eleven. No, they set up distribution. They set up the product. Can't wait to see where they go with this, right? And I got to believe that it's not going to be the last thing they do, because they're very, very thoughtful of matching up product with distribution.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I said for years that revenue should matter, and it didn't. Now everyone's like, it's revenue generating season. I'm like, that's been the season in business for thousands of years. That's how business works, is you generate revenue. Now I know there's some growth companies that don't turn it on because they're growing. I get it. It feels like it's actually strategy season now, and people being like, oh, seeing the direction and where people are going matters. And I feel like you're seeing story protocol, story IP outperform the market at the moment. Story basically said, we want to focus on Korea. This is prior to Korea Blockchain Week. They said, we're going to focus deep on Korea. And they have since acquired IP that has connections to things like K-pop Demon Hunters. They acquired IP, partnered with IP and are launching IP related to that. We're launching IP related to the Parasite movie, the parent company there. Parasite's the first non-American film to win Best Picture at the Oscars. They're acquiring the IP. They're finding ways to use it so that people can so it's when somebody makes a derivative. I use this example all the time, and I think it's kind of the idea that they go. It's if Eminem wanted to have people sample his music and make money off it, instead of people randomly sampling, you could be like, the blockchain solves for this. Go to this site, press this button, pay this fee, and connect your music here. I will earn a fee every time that you make money, a small one, very small revenue thing, like the way Spotify pays 2 pennies on the dollar, and you'll pay me a fee to use it, and I'll license it. And it's just another income stream for major artists, right? The idea that derivatives, memes, etc., can live off that. The idea that the guy who owns the Pepe Frog meme, whatever his name, is able to actually, benefit and make money off Pepe instead of someone else making money off it as a meme coin. Because people would spin up a meme coin because they think it's funny and whatever. Someone creates a meme, doesn't get anything. Well, you work through a story protocol. So they have a strategy. They've talked about it. Whether it's successful or not, that's to be seen. But your point about Rekt and my point about story is that there's a clear strategy. There's a clear play. There's clearly milestones. We heard Beezie say, we launched this thing with OpenSea. Joey's been biting his tongue for weeks about potentially this claw thing. So they've had that in plan for a while. And Beezie tweeted notifications on, we're just starting. End of the year is going to be packed. So they have plans. And I'm not saying they don't, but it feels like Pudgy Penguins lives on this spectrum where they have plans. And I feel like Pudgy's always got the next partnership, the next thing going, and they're ready. It just doesn't feel like that with sort of the abstract or even and Pengu feels like it might have some plans. So it doesn't feel like that quite with abstract. Rekt feels like it's there. Story I mentioned feels like it's there. And it feels like this is increasing. ApeCoin, again, ApeCoin, they said, look, we want to hyper financialize this. We're putting it on more places. Cut and dry. So anyway, net, I think it's probably a good note to close it out on. I want to get anything else here, but I realize I have an advisory call at 11 o'clock I got to do. And I probably want to eat taco flavored beef for the 56,000th time on my diet in the past month. Diet's working. It's not fun. Still got to drop 10 pounds. but working on it. Any other parting thoughts before we let everyone get out of here? I appreciate you joining me this morning and kind of ripping through me with Cap back in the office tomorrow.
No, this is fun. I appreciate it. It was a good talk. I love a good marketing strategy kind of talk, as good as the next guy. I also did not pay Payne to say that. But thank you, Payne. It was a big hair day on the show today. I was trying to, I didn't know if I was supposed to go this way or this way with the adjustment. So I just kind of winged it.
Direction. I don't know why my fidget is like up and to the opposite direction of the part. I can't help it. It's just kind of how I roll. I don't know why.
Yeah, so I think we'll work through that. I'm sure Payne's gonna have notes after the fact. I look forward to those. No, I think it was great. I think the one thing I'll end with that's like content topic related is I'm not a permeable like Cap, right? I love Cap. Cap is my he's the voice that's on this shoulder that tells me just believe, keep going. And trust me, I've called him for that exact type of feedback. But I try to be somewhat balanced, right? What I'll say is there are, even in markets, it's a red day, it's a red week, it's a red month, whatever. There are still lots of really cool opportunities in this space. If you pay attention, if you play with size that you are comfortable playing with, in wherever you're going. Are you going to hit a 100x tomorrow like you could a year ago on Chill Guy or things like that? Probably not. But can you find places that are EV positive in this space still? Absolutely. Can you find places that are just fun and enjoyable, right? I know we're talking about there's no dApps. There's a ton of places to go out there. If you're willing to look, if you're willing to go, get outside your timeline a little bit and find some things. And there's still communities out there that if you're looking for communities that you can join. I will shout out the War Room on that one because that is by far my favorite community. So no, thanks for having me. Hope it was enjoyable for everyone else. Hope I didn't completely tank the numbers on the show as you're closing in on 1,000 shows. And Cap can come in and clean up the rest tomorrow.
Yeah, next week we hit 1,000. Next week we'll hit 1,000. That'll be a fun one to hit on in October. So, look, thanks to everyone who came through this morning. Thanks to Von Front for hosting today. Big Nil, obviously, much love and respect for hosting yesterday as well. Grateful Eight came in on Monday for a bit of a shorter show. Joey coming in and pinch hitting this morning. Hope he gets better soon. We will talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.